Just 1 year ago, the Brunswick Rhino Pros came from behind to defeat 3 opponents in the first Team Challenge Grand Championship in Reno, Nevada. Today, from the biggest little city in the world, Prime Network presents the semifinal round of the 1994 Brunswick World Team Challenge Grand Championship. These are the Hilton Lanes in Reno, Nevada. 26 championship teams came here recently for this event. And tonight we have it down to 3. 3 teams still standing, still dreaming of winning the title of best bowling team in the world. Hi again, everybody. Welcome back to Reno and our Grand Championship event. Bob Dolan and Earl Anthony with you. And Earl, tonight, the semifinal matchup.
Well, this is going to be a great match. We've had some in the past. The last one was a great one. The Ebonite Nitro Art team is youth and enthusiasm and strength, going against a bunch of veterans from Elma Lane's team. And that team has a lot of experience, a lot of professional experience. It should be a wonderful match.
Yeah, don't overlook Elma by any means. They won in Dublin on difficult conditions, and the conditions here are very similar. So it should be a great semifinal matchup. It's coming right up, so please stay with us. The Brunswick World Team Bowling Challenge Grand Championship is being brought to you by Lynn Shoes. For the performance approach, it's American-made Lynn Shoes, the choice of bowlers worldwide. By the Reno Bowling Stadium, offering the $100,000 Perfect Game Challenge. By Turbo 2-in-1 Grips, the choice of top amateurs and professionals alike. And by the American Bowling Congress, pride and service to bowlers since 1895. Make sure your league is ABC sanctioned. Our semifinal match of the Grand Championship event from the Reno Hilton Lanes in Reno, Nevada. The Brunswick World Team Challenge. Bob Dolan and Earl Anthony back with you. And this should be a very interesting semifinal indeed. Number 2, Elma Lanes. They're going to start things against number 3 seed Ebonite Nitro R. And the leadoff man for Elma Lanes, Henry Dawson, 36 years old. Now, Elma Lanes won the event in Dublin, where scoring conditions were very difficult. They say they like it tough. Well, they got him tough in Reno. And Dawson starts the semifinal match with a strike in the first.
Well, if experience counts, and I feel it does, especially in this situation when you're under a lot of pressure, you're bowling on television, you're bowling for a world championship, then obviously Elma Lanes is at the advantage. They have a lot of players who have some professional titles to their credit. Matt Serena is a 3-time national champion. Whereas this team is very young, very strong, and very volatile. Anything can happen in this match.
Wallachek answers with a strike in the first for Ebonite Nitro R. They advanced to the semifinals with a quarterfinal win over Team USA recently by 4, 526, 522. Now, second frame for Elma Lanes, Frank DeReamer. And Elma Lanes begins with 2 in a row. And if anyone bowls a perfect game here at the Grand Championship event, Earl, they're going to have to take home $100,000.
I'd like to watch that.
Yeah, I would too.
That would be great.
From the Reno Bowling Stadium, $100,000 for a perfect game. Billy Murphy, second frame for Ebonite. Murphy goes to Brooklyn.
And leaves the 5-10, which is not what he was hoping to get on that hit. Normally, when you hit that light going away Brooklyn like that, you get some pin action off the wall, but the head pin just went to the wall, came back and rolled between the 5 and the 10. And the idea here is to slide the 5 into the 10, just get enough of the 5 pin on the left side to slide it into the 10.
Murphy in the quarterfinal victory over Team USA had a couple of strikes and 4 spares, but considering how some of the others, and he picks the spare very well in the second. Big spare for Murphy in the second. As I was saying, considering how some of the other bowlers did in the quarterfinals, Earl, he was happy with his performance.
There's another great camera shot of that spare, and I tell you, as tough as these lanes are, that it was unique. You don't see very many of those picked up. Our only left-hander in the top 7 teams.
It's Bob Davidson.
And I talked to Bob before this match, and he told me, he says, I have one strategy and one strategy only. He says, I'm going to throw it as hard as I can, as straight as I can, right off the edge of the lane, right at the pocket.
There you go.
And that's what he did there. He says, and I can throw some heat.
Well, we were very impressed with this team at your house in Dublin early. And Davidson, that extra coat of paint on the pin, and he gets the spare in the third.
Well, of everybody on this team, the Ebonite Nitro R team, that last week's match, the one that struggled, I think, the most was Sean. Let's see if Sean has figured out something going into this particular match here.
And that's right, Earl. He had 3 open frames in the quarterfinals.
Yeah. He missed the building, as they say, with that shot, and left himself, based on the condition and the angle, he's playing a pretty difficult spare, the 1 and the 3. He missed it once completely. He could do it again here. Sean has really struggled, and he's a much better player than this. So let's see how he does on this spare.
He's just 24 years old. And in the third, and he got it for Ebonite Nitro R. So we're underway in our semifinal match. We're through 3 frames. Remember, it's 3 games total pinfall in the Baker, and Elma Lanes up early by 11. We'll be right back. Matt Serena will fill the 4th and the 9th frame for Elma Lanes. This is the 4th in our first game, and Elma Lanes up early by 11 over Ebonite Nitro R.
Well, here's where we see if experience is a factor. Matt Serena, the most experienced player out there, 3-time PBA national champion, and so on and so forth, and all that good stuff. And he would be followed by Curtis Messer, who is one of the best amateur bowlers in the country right now. He's done his thing too with 3 PBA regional titles. He has an unusual occupation, Curtis Messer. He's a tree faller.
Yes, yeah.
Now, what's a tree faller? Is that a logger?
He wants to be a pin faller.
He wants to, yes. That's a good point there, Bob. Tough spare here for Matt.
Oh,
missed it.
Our first open of our semifinal match comes in the 4th frame from Matt Serena.
Matt's having a few problems. There's a look at that, the 1-5. You don't shoot that very often. The ball just missing the 5 pin. Matt's got some shoulder problems, a lot of pain up there, and is having trouble getting ball speed.
Paul Fleming in the 4th for Ebonite. Starts way left, brings it around, but not enough.
Well, every spare is tough, and the more pins there are standing down there, obviously, the tougher the spare, and this is not an easy one. This is the 2, the 4, and the 5, and there's a lot of ways to make it and a lot of ways to miss it. The ideal way is to get the ball between the 5 and, of course, the 4 pin. The 2 pin, I mean.
Paul Fleming, 1992 national amateur champion, thus a former Team USA member. And he gets the spare here in the 4th for Ebonite Nitro R. Had great crowds here for the Grand Championship event in Reno, including Ben Palumbo, ABC president-elect. Anchorman for Elma Lanes. This is Curtis Messer.
Curtis can get it done on almost any lane condition. He'll find a way to get the ball in the pocket. And when he does, he usually gets a strike. So I'm just as surprised as Curtis is there.
Yeah, he liked that one. Messer, just 32 years old. 3 regional PBA titles. And the guy they all look to on this team. In the 5th for Elma, the spare for Messer. So the anchor man for Ebonite will be Chad Murphy. As we take a look at the average leaders from our Grand Championship event from the U.S. field, it was Curtis Messer for Elma Lanes, 216.3. This is Murphy in the 5th for Ebonite. Beautiful shot for Chad Murphy. Murphy had a key strike, remember, in our quarterfinals, a key strike in the 10th frame of the final game to help his team beat Team USA. Elma Lanes in the U.S. pool here in Reno. After 3 regular games, they were 6th, then dropped to 8th, and then started their climb, 2, 3, and then finished as our number 2 seed. Back up around top now, 2nd time around, 6th frame, Henry Dawson. He struck in the 1st, but some trouble here in the 6th.
All right, again, this is the 2-4-5, and Henry, a very good spare shooter. I don't expect him to have a lot of problems with this, but of course the lane condition is such that everybody's making guesses, and they haven't practiced any spares here yet. So let's see what happens on this particular shot. It looks like Henry's going to play it down the left side here. Right over the third arrow.
And trouble. An open in the 6th for Elma. That's their second open of this first game.
Well, let's not hope that this forecasts things to come, because we don't want to see those low scores. We want some good scores.
You
this
betcha.
time.
Ebonite also coming up through the U.S. pool. Started in 9th and worked their way up. 6th, 4th, 2nd. Finally settled in as our number 3 seed. Lonnie Wallachek in the 6th for Ebonite. Wallachek a strike in the first frame. And he'll get it 2 for 2. He went Brooklyn. The 10 fell down.
And a double for their team, which really gets them pumped up. Watch the head pin on this shot. You see he's way left. The ball never has a chance to get on the right-hand side of the head pin, but watch what the head pin will do. It'll go to the wall, come back, and it is the instigator of getting the last 3 pins to fall.
Which brings us to Frank DeReamer in the 7th for Elma. DeReamer 2 for 2.
Great shot there. I really like the way he rolled that ball. He kept it with a real high roll and kept it on line really long. Got it well out over the foul line.
The lead is 23 currently for Ebonite. We're still, remember, in the first game, and we go 3 games total pinfall in the Baker. Billy Murphy in the 7th for Ebonite. Murphy just 24 years old and a 2-time collegiate All-American at Wichita State. And he gets the 5. And a strike for Ebonite Nitro R.
And here's that pin action again. Watch the head pin again. It goes to the wall, comes off the kickback, and it's the one that does the damage, knocks that 5 pin down.
So both clubs off to an encouraging start tonight. Semifinal match. Of course, they're bowling for $25,000 and the right to call themselves the best bowling team in the world. We'll be right back. Nitro R, our number 3 seed, currently leads Elma Lanes, our number 2 seed, by 33, but we're still in the first game of our semifinal match. Bob Davidson, we're in the 8th frame now for Elma Lanes. Davidson a spare in his first frame. Almost a peck full of trouble, but the 10's still there.
He's throwing the ball so hard, he's almost going with it. I mean, all he's trying to do is completely eliminate any kind of ball reaction on the lane. So he just wants to completely overpower it, throw as hard as he can. And it's not a bad way to play when you don't know what the ball's going to do when you do make a good shot.
And Davidson in the 8th gets the spare.
Here's a look at it again. Now watch him at the foul line. You see he pulled himself sideways, almost off balance enough to fall down, and that makes him pull the ball a little bit through the middle of the head pin. He does get a good break on the 7 pin, almost got the 10.
All right, let's talk about the tough format we used here in Reno as we look at some of the match play records. Brunswick Rhino Pro 2, our number 1 seed, 23-9-1, and Elma Lanes, a match play record of 22-11. This is Sean Swanson in the 8th for Ebonite. The format here in Reno, Earl, we started with 26 teams. 15 of them in the U.S. pool and then 11 in the international pool, and then they went to work.
They did, and it was hard work indeed. They started on Friday, bowled 6 qualifying regular team games. Total pinfall carried over into Saturday's match play. With this Baker match play, 25 games, 20 pin bonus if you were to win one of those games. That was carried over into the final cut to the field of 7 teams into another round of Baker match play with a 40 pin bonus if you were to win, and that included a position round. After that, those 7 teams were cut to the 5 that you have seen on our telecast. Of course, the 2 from the international field were Team USA and the Team Scandinavia. They have since been eliminated, and we're down here to the winner of this match going for the championship.
And they will face our number 1 seed, Brunswick Rhino Pro 2. They're waiting for the winner of this. We're in the 9th frame of our first game of this semifinal match.
You can't see it under his shirt, but on his right shoulder, Matt Serena is wearing a brace. He's had a lot of problems with that shoulder, a lot of pain.
Now, what was the device, Earl, we saw him using just before this match began?
It's a little thing. What it does, it's a little thing that gives a little electrical charge to the muscles and stimulates the circulation. And that's the name of it. It's called a stimulator. And what it does is it stimulates blood flow and helps the muscle for a brief period of time feel better, more relaxed, so that you can function better.
The lead for Ebonite now down to 21 as Paul Fleming rolls in the ninth. Fleming with a spare in the fourth.
And it looks like a spare here. Just shouldn't be that difficult. It's if you're going to have 2 pins in a cluster, this is the way you want them if you're right-handed. You want them on the left side of the lane, and you want the pin that's on the left to be farther back than the pin that's on the right, and that's what he's got, the 2 and the 4.
And he gets him in the ninth. Paul Fleming. The lead 21 as we enter the 10th frame of this first game. Elma Lanes qualified for the Grand Championship event by winning our Dublin event in May. In Dublin, they were the number 2 seed, just as they are here, and they won a pair of matches, 349 to 331, 399 to 363. Anchorman Curtis Messer.
Got a break there. Right in the middle of the head pin, and Curtis is pretty happy with that result. Remember, his first try was a real good 10 pin. He hit the pocket solid, left the 10 pin. This one, middle of the head pin, lucky to get the 7 pin out. We're going to take a look at that pin action. Now watch the left side of the screen. Look at the last pin to fall, the 7 pin. He could have had the 6, 7, 10. It leaves only the 6 and the 10.
Which he converts.
Well, I think Elma Lanes, if they can just stay close through this first game. Remember, it's 3 games total pinfall. If they can stay close through this first game, are very much in this match. Remember, I always feel, Bob, that the advantage goes to the team or the individual who won the previous game. They're acclimated to the lights, the television, the lane condition. Basically, they're more comfortable. Now that they've gotten through one game, I think the Elma Lanes team will be more comfortable and maybe make a better match in the second game of this.
And as they've all told us, they like these conditions. They bowled well in Dublin. They also finished 4th in Tacoma. You remember that event, Earl, where the conditions there were also difficult. They really believe the tougher the lane conditions, the better they bowl.
They like punishment.
I guess so.
Simple as that.
Anchorman Chad Murphy.
And Chad's pretty happy with that result. He wasn't very happy with the way he threw the ball. He got a little out of time, got up the foul line a little quick, and no balance at all. You can see him going through some motions there, kind of signifying to himself, hey, that was pretty bad there, Chad. Let's do it a little better. His last shot on this lane for a while. Try to make the spare and fill it up for an even 200 game for his team.
Now, Ebonite Nitro are qualified by winning the Fort Worth event in early February to qualify for here. They were the number 1 seed in Fort Worth, and they won the championship there with a 453 game, 2 games.
That's a good score. You won't see many of those today.
That was actually one of our highest scores of the season. 15 stops around the United States. And some tremendous players taking part with us this year, and thus here in Reno. Narn Duke was here, Dick Weber. We're going to see Tom Baker in the championship match. Murphy to wrap up our first game of the semifinals with the strike for Ebonite Nitro R. So they have grabbed the lead here in the semifinals over Elma Lanes. The lead for Ebonite is 24. We'll be right back. Bob Dolan and Earl Anthony back with you in our semifinal match of the Grand Championship event at the Reno Hilton Lanes. And Ebonite Nitro R, our number 3 seed, up by 24 as we begin our second game. 200, 176 in game 1. Check. A strike to start the second game. He's 3 for 3 in the semifinal.
Well, as we know, Elma Lane's very much still in this match. 24 pins is not much in the Baker system. And this is the guy who can get him going. Henry Dawson, he lines up well. He knows how to make good adjustments, and he can help it. Again, experience is on the side of Elma. They have all the players that have been professionals and so on and so forth. And youth and exuberance and strength on the side of the young players from the Ebonite Nitro R team.
Now, he's not the tree faller. That looked like timber there on the pin reaction. He's a bowling proprietor, 36 years old. Now, remember, they've switched lanes, so Elma Lane's now on the right-hand lane, lane 30, and they'll stay here for a game and a half. Elma Lane's are their qualifying scores in the Baker games, 193.6, and in the regular games, nearly 191. And Dawson gets the spare in the first. So they'll stay on these lanes, Earl, for the next game and a half. As we see the averages again for Elma Lanes and now for Ebonite, our number 3 seed. Very consistent, weren't they?
Yeah, and that gave you a quick comparison of how tight the field was with those scores.
Billy Murphy in the second.
And Billy says, what happened there, folks? I don't have any idea. He's
going to the other lane.
He says, I don't know what's going on down. He thought he threw a pretty good shot there, and he almost didn't keep it on the lane. It was really moving left on him. Now, he doesn't, I'm sure, he's very confused on how to play this spare. You can see him looking down at the approach. And at this point, what goes through your mind is, well, I just got to make a guess and make a good shot and hope it's the right one.
And he gets right. Murphy to spare in the second for Ebonite. They maintain their lead.
Murphy family is a very interesting family. They're very successful in bowling, and they have some Hall of Famers in the family. And one of those is Ida Murphy, who in 1957 bowled on the same lanes in the All-Star tournament with another old legend, Dick Weber. And Dick Weber, I think, was 40 then. So the Murphy family has been around a while, and they've been very successful in this sport. And we've got 2 Murphys bowling today, yep. Chad and Billy.
They are brothers. In fact, Lonnie Wallachek is their cousin. It's almost a family affair for Ebonite. DeReamer for Elma Lanes.
Another difficult spare here. Anytime you have a combination with a head pin and a pin in the back row, boy, you got problems, especially on a tough lane condition.
And he missed the one in the back. So an open in the second for Elma Lanes. And their deficit grows.
And they've got to get it going. They should be talking to each other here and trying to figure out what's going on, but they're just all sitting there with their heads down, and nobody's really paying attention to each other. And now's the time to say, hey, what are we going to do out here, guys? Anybody got any ideas where I can throw my next shot?
Down by 38 at the moment. Sean Swanson in the third for Ebonite.
Sean's had his problems, but he's been fortunate to be surrounded by some guys that have come through when it needed him, especially the man on the bottom, Chad Murphy, made that great shot last week to advance this team this far. He needed a strike in the 10th to make it tough for the other anchor man. Got it. The other anchor man needed a double and threw it solid in the pocket. Oh my!
You know, Steve Klimpkin still can't believe they didn't go down.
Well, I can't either. That ball was about as good as you could throw it. The solid 8-pin.
Meantime, Swanson with his second consecutive open frame for Ebonite. And you're right, Earl. Swanson has certainly struggled not only tonight but in our quarterfinal match where he had 3 open frames.
All right, now if you blink, folks, you're going to miss this shot because this one's just going to go hop, skip, and a jump to the pins. Zip bang. Here it comes.
And there they go. Davidson a strike for Elma Lanes in the third as they close the gap on Ebonite. Davidson's first strike of the night, and the lead for Ebonite now 25. We'll be right back. Well, things tightened up quite a bit while we were away. The lead now for Ebonite is down to 9 pins because in the 6th frame, an open frame for Lonnie Wallachek of Ebonite. He left the 4-7-10 and then missed all 3. And then Dawson with a strike for Elma in the 6th. So it's a 9-pin lead for Ebonite as we head to the 7th frame. Remember, this is our second game, one more to follow. Billy Murphy.
Only the 4 had the 4-9 momentarily, which Billy would have been very disappointed if he'd got the 4-9. There's no question about it. He made a great shot there. He thought he had the strike. Billy's been struggling a little bit too, and he was the one that really was throwing the ball quite well in their other match.
But he gets the spare in the 7th for Ebonite. And it's Frank DeReamer's turn for Elma. DeReamer so far in our semifinal match, a pair of strikes, but then an open frame on this lane. DeReamer is a two-time Washington State champion. He's 39 years old and a league average of 221. And he went Brooklyn. They still, all of them still look a bit uncomfortable, Earl.
Well, they're very uncomfortable because they have to play such an, in their minds at least, such an extreme angle on the lanes, way left of center, and try to make the ball skid where it won't skid. There's just no oil in the middle of the lane there. It's all gone. It's been used up by their bowling balls during their practice and whatever. And now they just can't get the ball to skid down the lane. That's simple as that.
And DeReamer gets the spare in the 7th for Elma. Also in our crowd tonight, of course, he works here, the general manager, Bob Thomas of the Hilton Lanes. And a great job he and his staff did for us the last few weeks. Sean Swanson, now he has struggled throughout the quarterfinals and again tonight in the semifinals. And he gets the strike here in the 8th for Ebonite.
Well, you can see he's not real happy with that. He's happier with the result, there's no question. But watch the pin action here. He's dead center of the head pin, and this is what they almost, this is almost a Jersey squasher.
He'll take it.
Middle of the head pin, they all fell down. Looked like a bulldozer going through there. Here comes, don't blink, you miss it, Bob Davidson. Slowed that one up a little bit, and it hooked. Surprised him.
Davidson struck on his first ball over here on lane 30 in the 3rd. So it's tight here in our semifinal match. The lead for Ebonite.
Well, that's
is 12.
That's a kind of mistake there that can't afford. He got a little careless there. He got a little quick. Just got up and did it. Didn't think. He knew that the reason he's playing way out near the channel, Bob Davidson, is because the ball won't hook quite as much out there. Then he moved into an area of the lane where it hooks a lot and went directly at the spare, and it hooked on him. That doesn't make sense, does it? All right, here we go.
9th frame for Ebonite. Fleming. There it is. Paul Fleming, a big strike in the 9th.
And that is a big strike because the man coming up in the 10th, Mr. Murphy, is tough. And here's another look at that shot. And what a great shot. The tremendous extension to keep the ball on line. The last 2 pins out, the 8 and the 10. And you can see his reaction and his teammates coming off the bench.
Now Matt Serena for Elma. His 9th frame. And he gets one.
Well, Matt got it in that half pocket area and had plenty of power, and you saw him wiggling around up there. He was wiggling that 5 pin into the 7.
Does that work?
Well, it works for Matt, I guess. It doesn't work for me. All right, here's the man of the hour, you might say. He's gotten him this far with that clutch strike in his last match, and he has a chance here to substantially add to the lead if he can strike out.
The lead, which at the moment is 34 for Ebonite. Oh, and he got the 10. And another strike for Chad Murphy.
And they're having fun. These kids are having fun. This is, as I mentioned, a very young team. 24, 23, 23, 22 in that neighborhood. All of them. Most of them aren't even holding up the boat yet, and they're out there throwing strikes like they've been bowling for 30 years.
And Murphy, the youngest of the bunch, Earl, just 22 years old and
the team leader.
Yep. Looking for 2 in a row.
Well,
On that one.
Really flung that one. Got his right shoulder down and just really went after it with as much strength and power as he could get on it. And you know, he's looking around there like, wow.
What did I do?
He's gone back and forth between bowling balls trying to get a good ball reaction. I don't think he's going to find it in the bowling ball. I think he's going to have to make some moves.
And he leaves an open at the end of our 2nd game.
Here's another look at that last shot, but got away from him. Look at him muscle up here and just rotate his shoulders through. My. If he wasn't laying that ball down the lane, I think he could have got it down there in the air.
He may think of that.
Yeah, he might. Curtis Messer with a chance to get his team right back into this.
Messer in the 10. Yeah, there's one for Curtis Messer.
And here's a guy, if you see him do it once, he usually can do it again. Because he's not out of his element. This is Curtis Messer right here, what he does best. That's make great shots under pressure, under difficult situations. That's why he's bowling 5th for this very experienced team. Tremendous concentration.
Looking for 2 in a row.
High on the head.
And a break. Well, it's going to be a very interesting 3rd and final game of this semifinal match.
I'd say so. It's going to be exciting, and I'm sure it'll come down to the last few shots again. No one seems to be able to find a way to dominate this pair of lanes, 29 and 30 here at the Hilton.
Messer gets the spare to wrap up our 2nd game. And the lead for Ebonite is 29. One more game to go. We'll be right back. One more game to go in our semifinal match, and at the moment, Ebonite Nitro are leading Elma Lanes by 29, and they'll start things off in this 3rd and final game. And again, they stay on lane 29. They'll switch after 5 frames of this game. Earl 29-pin lead in the Baker. That can go in a hurry.
Couple of frames. We've seen it happen so many times. The kids aren't backing off, though. They're working hard. They're staying in there, and they've always got Chad Miller on the bottom when they need him, it seems.
Wallachek with 3 strikes tonight in the semifinal, and a break there as the 7 falls.
Big break. That could have been 20 of those pins right there. If he gets the open and they come back with a double on the Elma Lanes team, last pin out, you see it. It's the watch the pin action in the corner over there. Just enough delay on it, knock it over. That doesn't happen very often with new pins. Normally they're hard to knock down.
And he gets the spare in the 1st to begin our final game of the semifinal. Elma Lanes up next.
Henry Dawson, he's been bowling good. Let's see if he can get it started for him. He knows they need something big going right now.
Elma, Washington, located 30 miles west of Olympia. The fellas wanted me to say that because they say everywhere they go, people say, "Where's Elma, Washington?" Everywhere in Reno, people are saying, "Where are you from?" It's 30 miles west of Olympia. In fact, 3 of these fellas are from
Olympia?
Elma. Good question. Dawson in the 1st. Jeff Lynn on hand, the president, of course, of one of our sponsors, Lynn Shoes. Always good to see him. Henry Dawson. He's the one that told me, Earl, that they like these conditions tough. The tougher, the better.
Well, I don't know if Henry meant this tough.
Yeah, he may have bitten off more than he can chew.
Yeah, these this is a tough spare now. The 610 cross lane's got to pay attention. He can't get careless.
He got it. So we're off in our 3rd game with a couple of spares in the 1st frame from Wallachek and from Dawson. Of course, Lynn Shoes will be one of many prizes to be awarded to our teams here at the Grand Championship event.
And one of the functions and one of the better things about the Lynn Shoes, you can see the different soles and heels that are available for various sliding surfaces. I almost slurred my word there. Sliding surfaces.
Billy Murphy in the 2nd for Ebonite. 2-time collegiate All-American at Wichita State.
Another difficult spare. You got to be careful. Easy to chop this. Great cover. Boy, can you get that ball down there in a hurry.
Yeah. And he's telling them about it. Well, Elma's got to start making their move if they're going to make one. They have to make it soon. 2nd frame for Frank DeReamer. DeReamer so far in our semifinal match, a pair of strikes, a spare, and an open frame. And the open frame came on this lane 30.
Well, the thing, it's something to think about. Solid 7. It's a bad break. Something to think about is if Elma can stay close within, say, 30 pins going into the last 5 frames, as we take a good look here at Jim Otterstrom, who is the Vice President of Marketing for Brunswick. And he's been at several of our programs, and he's really a nice man. But if Elma Lanes can stay close within 30 pins going into the last 5 frames when they make their last transition or back to lane 29, that puts Chad Murphy, the anchorman who has been so key to the success of the Nitro team, that puts him on the right-hand lane in the 10th frame where the ball return will be in his way, which could be a major factor.
Yeah, he likes to get as far left as he can, doesn't he? We've seen it here in Reno as DeReamer gets the spare in the second for Elma.
Well, here's the guy that's had the most problems, and if he should make a mistake now, it could get Elma pumped up. Still early in this, our final game. Lots of frames to play.
The lead 28 for Ebonite. Oh, and he got one to go. Jack, that's 2 in a row for Swanson.
This is what you want. You want the guy that's really struggling to get some breaks, and he got a good break here. The last pin to go, the 6 pin. Trips it forward. And the good old head pin at work again, coming out of the channel.
Now Bob Davidson, the lefty for Elma, needs to respond.
Got a good break there. Had the bucket for a moment, broke it all down, leaving only the 6 pin, and no problem there with the spare, I wouldn't think, for Bob. But we've seen some strange things happen.
Boy, haven't we? It's been quite a ride here to Reno. 15 U.S. stops, starting in L.A., what seems like a long time ago, ending in Baltimore. They all came here, all the winners did, as Davidson chops one off. That's 2 opens in a row for Davidson.
And that was just plain careless. There's no mistaking about it. That's something you can't afford to do at any time, but especially the 3rd game of the 3rd frame when you're within 30 pins. It's just, that's a gift. It's a shame. And it really just takes the heart out of your team.
Just like that, the lead for Ebonite is 40 pins. And we're in the 4th frame of our final game. And Paul Fleming, a great time for that.
Well, that's like adding insult to injury. You get up there, you make a mistake, you give one away like that, like Bob Davidson did, and the guy comes back and jumps on you with a strike. And it's actually a double, so it compounds the mistake. Matt Serena, he's the guy to get him going. They need he and, of course, Curtis Messer to come back with some strikes to get him back in this match.
Can Serena start it for him? Yeah, he got it.
He's not giving up, folks, I'll tell you that. Here's another look at it. Watch the pin action. Matt creates deep inside angle, spins the ball to get it down the lane, just enough of the 5 to slide it across and knock out the 7. And here's Matt's little dance. You say there's no ballet in bowling?
Yeah, he still moves pretty good. Even got that right shoulder up a little bit. That's hurting him. Here's Chad Murphy.
Well, on the double, gets a good count. The problem is if he were to miss this spare and Curtis Messer were to strike, we're right back in the match. So anything continually in the Baker system, anything can happen. Keep creating scenarios, but the bowlers keep making them come true. That's the thing.
Well, we've seen it happen time and time again. The winner of this match, of course, moves to the finals as Murphy gets the spare, where they will meet our #1 seed, Brunswick Rhino Pro 2.
And they didn't lead it close either, folks. Brunswick Rhino Pro 2 kind of ran away and hid here. And,
yeah, they did.
They're going to be hard to beat, but as we've seen before, anything can happen in one of these Baker system matches.
Yeah, Rhino Pro 2 were nearly by 300 pins was the margin for him. Now Messer working off Serena's strike.
4-6-10, and that is just about disaster, you might say. They needed to strike desperately, and now the split, the impossible split we call it. He'll try to throw it as hard as he can at the 6 and the 10. Hope one of them bounces out of the pit back onto the pin deck. Not to be.
Nope. A critical open in the 5th for Elma Lanes. Here's what everybody's rolling for. $25,000 first prize. Second place, $15,000. Of course, our total purse, $130,000. And the winner, of course, will be called the best bowling team in the world. Ebonite by 60. We'll be right back. Strikes from Dawson and Wallachek in the 6th, but an open from Billy Murphy in the 7th for Ebonite. The lead for Ebonite now down to 48. 8th frame, Davidson.
Oh. And the 4, 6, 10, and that's just about spells disaster there, I'd say, for Elma Lanes. Man, they really needed to get something going right there. The left-hander, who I felt had better shot than anybody at this point, hit the middle of the head pin and did not break it up.
So Bob Davidson sits down with 3 open frames in a row in our semifinal match. And that may about do it. 8th frame for Ebonite, Sean Swanson. Of course, he struggled too.
I would say a mark here from Sean would just about do it. If he can keep it clean for him.
Swanson has a couple of open frames tonight.
Well, there's a big move right there. That was kind of interesting. He moved out a little bit on the lane there, and to the right near the channel farther, and tried a different bowling ball and almost got a pretty good reaction there.
He's still looking, isn't he? I mean, he's been through the quarterfinals and now the semifinal match, and he's still searching.
Well, he might bowl the finals next week, still be looking, and end up being the world team champion.
That's right. Maybe handing him a nice paycheck. Here in the 8th, Swanson hits the spare. And Ebonite maintains their lead. It's now 62.
And the look on Sean's face as he came back there, what he was saying to his teammates, hey, that was a good ball reaction I just got on that spare ball. I'm going to try that again. You guys should try that. That's what he's saying.
Which you originally brought up in the quarterfinal match.
Well, let's see if the old man here got a little salt and pepper beard, all that kind of stuff. It's just not to be for Matt Serena and his team from Elma Lanes.
Well, Elma Lanes sure put on a show here at our Grand Championship event, though. They were the #2 seed by 93 pins over this Ebonite team. Bowled well the entire event, and it looks like they're going to go home as our #3 finisher. And I think it's obvious Serena's in some pain, Earl.
Well, he is, and but that's not. Matt would never use that for an excuse. He would he'd just say, "Well, I didn't make good shots," and that's how Matt is. That's how he's always been.
Well, Earl, let's look ahead a little bit, shall we? It's going to be Ebonite Nitro R against our #1 seed, Brunswick Rhino Pro. You mentioned before that Brunswick Rhino Pro 2 really did dominate.
They did. There's no question. And here, this is for a bunch of young guys. They're showing some pretty good moxie here. They're trying different bowling balls. They've got the match won. They're trying different bowling balls at different angles. Remember that shot right there? That's the one Dick Weber and I were talking about last week.
Right.
Get out there, go a little more direct, end over end, up to the pins, and you might get a pretty good reaction. And that's exactly what he did right there. So you might see that next week in the championship match. It'll be interesting to wait and watch and see.
Curtis Messer going to wrap it up for Elma Lanes. That's very interesting, Earl. I mean, for right now, Ebonite obviously knows they're heading to the championship game, so they're going to use these final few frames towards that championship game. Maybe, you know, we better find it now. Let's find the shot now. Change the ball now before the finals begin.
That's right. That's smart. You know, you're still under fire, still feeling the television lights, still bowling under the championship conditions. Let's try something different and see if it works.
Well, they're going to be tough if for no other reason, because they would have won 2 matches to get to the finals, and you always feel that's certainly an advantage.
I do. I definitely feel that the team that wins the match before has an advantage over the team coming on. Not only physically, but mentally, psychologically. Now here's the last guy for this team. This is Chad Miller. Now Chad's gone over and got another bowling ball. Now, that's kind of interesting. Let's see what Chad does. He's going to try a different line, different bowling ball. He's talking to his teammates. Where'd you play that shot? Yes, Murphy. I keep saying Miller, don't I? Chad Murphy. Chad's going to try a different shot. He's talking to his teammates. And let's try this out around second arrow and see what happens. Right up 10. Through it 2 hard. A chance for ball.
But now on the spare, Earl, he can still look for a strike ball. because he's got the head pin sitting there in front of him.
Right, and I'm sure he'll do that and try to make the spare and hopefully get another chance at an adjustment. He's trying another bowling ball here.
And still talking to his teammates.
First thing he wants to do is make the spare. Now he can try experimenting again with another strike shot.
Well, Ebonite's going to move on. Ebonite Nitro R, the team from Hopkinsville, Kentucky, will be in our Grand Championship game. And a convincing win here in the semifinal over Elma Lanes. We knew Elma Lanes would be dangerous here, but Ebonite very impressive in their semifinal victory. They move on, and we'll be back to wrap it up in just a moment.